Kukja Azir Anuma. Title: The Final Judge of 10,000 Trials. Role: Sentai Red's Enforcer of Karmic Punishment. Traits: Mortal Law Scripture: every enemy in battle is bound by one law Kukja declares aloud at the start. E.g., who harms another shall receive equal harm. If the law is broken, punishment is instantly delivered. Sin weight detection: reads a person's karmic history like a ledger. Can determine guilt, malice, and hidden motivations. Black verdict chains: auto-restraining system that tightens as the enemy violates laws, lies, or betrays intent. Hammer of causality: converts karmic imbalance into crushing magical blows that bypass durability and Reagan. Final testimony field: in the final minute of battle, enemy must speak their true motive. If it contradicts prior actions, Kukja may erase them as unjustified existence. Feats: crushed a demon king's soul through cosmic guilt after trapping him in a fake trial. Made a corrupt king fight his own generals after manipulating his truth declaration law. Deflected a time rewind spell by marking it as violating natural consequence. Justice: nature, conceptual being, manifests when the world calls for fairness. Style: absolute judgment, symmetrical retaliation, cause-effect weaponization. Traits: scales of equity: all attacks against justice are reflected back unless they are ethically justified. Sword of balance: every strike lands with equal weight to the opponent's past wrongdoings. Judgment loop: for every injustice an enemy commits mid-battle, justice grows more powerful, eventually reaching inevitable judgment. Absolute court field: area around justice forces all combat actions to follow symbolic due process, i.e., reasoning, evidence, motive. Final verdict: if justice survives 5 minutes without contradiction or flaw, reality itself executes sentence, erasing the unjust party. Feats: killed a god who rewrote history by using the logic of contradiction. Absorbed the wrath of an entire army and redirected it as a pure judgment beam. Rendered a multiverse criminal inert by forcing a metaphysical admission of guilt. Fight analysis: law versus law. This is a collision of legalistic absolutes. Both characters operate based on trial logic, moral principles, and verdict-based combat. However, Kukja is a mortal enforcer of law with flexibility and emotional intelligence. Justice is an embodied abstract, representing perfect, unfeeling balance. Neutral starting ground. Initial law declaration: Kukja's first move will be crucial. He might invoke something like, "No one shall retaliate without proof of harm." If justice reflects attacks automatically, Kukja could potentially punish that act as unjustified retaliation if he can argue there's no initial aggression. But justice's passive system doesn't choose to reflect, it is the law of the battlefield. So Kukja's rules and justice's essence may clash directly, causing a feedback loop or cancel out. Edge: justice, because its nature doesn't require consent or intention, it simply enforces itself. Chains versus verdict. Kukja's black verdict chains are incredibly strong against any mortal or corruptible being, but justice has no internal contradiction, no guilt to exploit, no karma to weigh. Unless Kukja finds a logical paradox in justice's behavior, his chains won't restrain something that exists outside guilt. Edge: justice, as it is too clean to be bound by sin or deception mechanics. Motive trial/philosophical assault. In a metaphysical trial zone, where motives must be explained, Kukja has a chance. He could try to force justice to explain why it delivers death without flexibility. If he argues that justice kills without room for forgiveness, that could count as a moral flaw, which Kukja could turn into a judgmental injustice. But justice doesn't act emotionally. It enforces balance without rage, cruelty, or ego. Kukja may fail to provoke a contradiction, since justice only activates in response to imbalance. Edge, slightly Kukja, if he outargues a literal concept, difficult. Overall win chance. Justice, Zenshu, 68%. Kukja Azir Anuma 32%. Verdict, justice wins. Despite Kukja's immense legal manipulation, the fact that justice doesn't act from malice, error, or desire makes it extremely resistant to any law Kukja tries to impose. Unless Kukja discovers a logical paradox in the core of justice's behavior, such as selective enforcement, hypocrisy, or blind consequence, he will eventually be judged himself. Justice's power scales the longer the battle is fair, and Kukja's tools require a guilty heart to punish. Against a concept without guilt, the judge meets his final judgment.